Commander Lisa Franklin leaned back in her chair on the bridge of the Earth ship Starbound*. It was a quiet day in deep space. The ship had been exploring the outer edges of the solar system for 3 weeks now. Most of the crew was bored. Space exploration sounded exciting in theory, but in practice, it involved a lot of waiting and watching empty screens. "Commander, I'm picking up something strange," said Officer Paul Davis, his eyes fixed on the radar display. "It's big, really big." Lisa stood up and moved to his station. "How big are we talking about?" "At least 10 times the size of our ship," Paul replied, adjusting some settings on the screen, and it just appeared out of nowhere. The entire bridge crew turned their attention to the main view screen. At first, they saw nothing but the endless dark of space dotted with distant stars. Then something changed. A tear seemed to form in the fabric of space itself. Light bent around the edges of this tear, and from within it emerged the most unusual spaceship any of them had ever seen. "What in the world is that?" asked Navigator Ben Rogers, squinting at the screen. The alien vessel looked like it had been designed by someone who had only heard about spaceships but never actually seen one. It was covered in strange bumps and unnecessary spikes. Parts of it seemed to be purely decorative, with glowing sections that served no apparent purpose. The ship was painted in bright purple and gold colors that shone even in the darkness of space. "Are those ribbons?" asked Communications Officer Maya Chen, pointing to streamers that seemed to trail behind the massive vessel. Lisa cleared her throat. "Open a channel, Maya. Let's introduce ourselves." Before Maya could act, their communication system beeped. "They're contacting us first, Commander," she said, sounding surprised. "Put them on screen," Lisa ordered, straightening her uniform. The view screen flickered, and an alien face appeared. The being had purple skin that shimmered slightly under the lights of what must have been their bridge. Its head was adorned with what looked like decorative antennae that drooped forward as it spoke. The alien wore what appeared to be a military uniform, with so many medals and ribbons that it seemed impossible to move without jingling. The alien spoke, and the ship's translation AI worked quickly to convert the sounds into English. The voice that came through the speakers was high-pitched and overly formal. "Attention, primitive vessel. You are now in the presence of the Grand Unification Galactic Empire, rulers of 714 star systems and masters of the known universe. Prepare to be evaluated for potential membership or servitude." For a moment, the bridge of the Starbound* was completely silent. Lisa opened her mouth to respond diplomatically, but before she could speak, a snorting sound came from the back of the bridge. Chief Engineer Joe Ramirez had been drinking coffee while monitoring the engines during the encounter. When the alien finished its grand speech, Joe had taken a sip, and now coffee was spraying from his nose as he tried to hold in his laughter. The sound broke the tension on the bridge. First, Navigator Ben started giggling. Then Maya's shoulders began to shake with silent laughter. Within seconds, the entire bridge crew was howling with amusement. Even Lisa, who prided herself on her professionalism, couldn't help but crack a smile. On the screen, the alien's antennae stood straight up in what appeared to be shock. "What is the meaning of this response?" the translator conveyed. "You stand before the mightiest empire in the galaxy." This only made the humans laugh harder. The alien's face turned a deeper shade of purple. "I don't think they've ever had someone laugh at them before," Lisa managed to say between chuckles. She took a deep breath, trying to compose herself. "I should really answer them properly." "Please do," Joe said, wiping coffee from his uniform. "Before I die from laughing." Lisa stepped forward, facing the screen. She put on her most serious expression, though her lips still twitched with the effort of not smiling. "This is Commander Lisa Franklin of the Earth exploration vessel Starbound*. We greet you in peace and friendship." She paused, then added, "We apologize for our reaction. It's just that on our world, we don't usually introduce ourselves with quite so much grandeur." The alien's antennae twitched in apparent confusion. you find the mighty Galactic Empire. Amusing? And just like that, the bridge dissolved into laughter again. First contact with alien life, the moment humans had dreamed about for centuries, had turned into an intergalactic case of the giggles. 2 weeks after the first contact, Ambassador Eric Mitchell stood in his quarters aboard the Starbound Asterisk, looking at his reflection in the mirror. He adjusted his tie for the 5th time and brushed an invisible speck of dust from his dark blue suit. "You look fine," said Dr. Samantha Wells from the doorway. The xenanthropologist had been studying the limited information they had about the aliens since first contact. "The Xanthurians won't care about your tie." "It's not about the tie," Eric said. "It's about making a good second impression." The first one didn't go so well. Captain Alan Thompson joined them, wearing his formal military uniform with all its medals, ready to board the Cosmic Dominance Asterisk. That name still makes me want to laugh. The 3 of them made up Earth's first official diplomatic team. After the laughing incident, Earth's governments had scrambled to put together a proper delegation. Eric was chosen for his calm nature, Samantha for her expertise in understanding different cultures, and Alan to represent Earth's military. "Remember," Eric said as they walked toward the shuttle bay, "no laughing, no matter what. These aliens take themselves very seriously." The shuttle ride to the massive purple and gold alien ship was short. When they docked and the doors opened, they were greeted by a group of Xanthurians in flowing robes with even more decorations than the first one they had met. "Welcome, Earth representatives, to the glorious flagship of the Grand Unification Galactic Empire," said one alien who seemed to be the leader. "I am head diplomat, Yizarn. Before we proceed to negotiations, you must participate in the sacred greeting ritual to establish proper hierarchical standing." The humans exchanged glances. This wasn't in their briefing materials. "We would be honored," Eric said carefully. Yizarn moved to the center of the docking bay and suddenly began to emit a high-pitched warbling sound while hopping on one foot. The other Xanthurians joined in, all warbling and hopping in what appeared to be a carefully organized pattern. Then they stopped and looked expectantly at the humans. "They want us to do it too," whispered Samantha, her lips twitching. Eric stepped forward, cleared his throat, and attempted to copy the warbling sound. It came out as more of a strangled gurgle. When he tried to hop, he nearly lost his balance. Samantha went next. She managed a decent imitation of the sound but lost control when she saw the serious expressions on the aliens' faces. A giggle escaped her lips, which she quickly tried to cover with a cough. "Are you ill, Earth female?" asked Gizarn with concern. "Many lesser species find themselves overcome in our majestic presence." This only made it harder for Samantha to control herself. "No, I'm fine," she managed. "Just adjusting to your ship's atmosphere." Alan's attempt was perhaps the worst. His warbling sounded like a dying car engine, and his military training made his hopping look like an aggressive march. The Xanthurians whispered among themselves, their antennae twitching rapidly. "Your performance of the ritual suggests you would make suitable vassals in the resource extraction divisions," Yuzarn finally announced. "This is a great honor for such a newly discovered species." "Vassals?" Alan asked, his eyebrows rising. "I think there's been a misunderstanding. Earth isn't looking to become anyone's vassal." Yizarn's antennae drooped in confusion. "But the ritual clearly established the dominance hierarchies. Your performances placed you in the lower tiers." Eric stepped forward. "On Earth, we have a different custom for greetings between equals." He extended his hand. "We shake hands." The alien stared at his outstretched hand with what looked like horror. "You wish to touch appendages?" Gizarn asked, backing away slightly. "That is a practice reserved for intimate relations." Now it was Eric's turn to look embarrassed. No, it's just a greeting. There's nothing intimate about it." The misunderstandings continued during the formal banquet that followed. The humans were served food that looked like glowing blue jelly and smelled like old socks. They politely took tiny bites while the Xanthurians consumed it with obvious pleasure. Imperial Grand Vizier Quetzal, who seemed to be the highest-ranking alien present, spent most of the meal describing the Empire's great conquests. "The Beltorians surrendered immediately upon seeing our mighty fleet," Quetzal boasted, "as did the Flern and the Xandarians. None dare oppose the Grand Empire." After listening to several similar stories, Captain Alan Thompson couldn't hold back any longer. "So, you've never actually fought anyone who fought back?" he asked. The banquet hall fell silent. Quetzal's antennae stood straight up. "What are you implying, Earth Warrior?" the Grand Vizier asked coldly. "Nothing," Eric jumped in. "Captain Thompson is just curious about your military tactics." "Yeah," Alan said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "I'd love to hear about a battle where the other side actually put up a fight." The Xanthurians looked at each other uncomfortably. It seemed that the mighty Galactic Empire might not be as mighty as they claimed to be. 1 month after the diplomatic mission, the Galactic Empire invited a larger group of humans to visit their cultural center on the asterisk Cosmic Dominance asterisk. The Empire was eager to show off their artistic achievements and prove their cultural superiority. Dr. Olivia Garcia led the human cultural team. She was an expert in art history and had been excited to see alien art forms. With her were 5 other humans: 2 musicians, a filmmaker, a dancer, and a poet. "Remember what happened with the diplomatic team," Olivia warned her group as they prepared to board the shuttle. "These aliens are very proud. Try not to laugh, no matter what you see." The Xanthurian cultural minister, a tall alien named Plur, met them at the docking bay. Plur wore robes covered in what looked like small mirrors that caught the light as they moved. "Esteemed Earth beings," Plur said with a deep bow, "today you will witness the greatest artistic achievement in the known universe. The Imperial Grand Symphony has been performed for 12,000 years and is considered the pinnacle of cultural evolution. We're honored," Olivia said politely. Plur led them to a large hall where hundreds of Xanthurians were already seated. The humans were given seats in the front row. The lights dimmed, and a hush fell over the crowd. For the next 3 hours, the humans watched as Xanthurian performers moved across the stage at an excruciatingly slow pace. Each step seemed to take minutes to complete. Meanwhile, other aliens played instruments that produced sounds so high-pitched that the humans' teeth hurt. Frank Wilson, one of the human musicians, leaned over to whisper to Olivia, "Is this the whole show?" "No," Plur answered from nearby. "This is merely the introduction. The full performance lasts 3 days." The humans exchanged alarmed glances. 3 days, repeated Olivia weakly. "Yes," Plur said proudly. "The true beauty emerges during the 47th hour, when the grand harmony is achieved." By the 5-hour mark, most of the human team was struggling to stay awake. The slow movements and painful sounds had long since stopped being interesting. Only Olivia managed to keep a politely interested expression on her face. Finally, there was an intermission. The humans gratefully escaped to a side room to stretch their legs. "We can't sit through 3 days of this," said Lily Chen, the filmmaker, massaging her ears. "I think my hearing might be permanently damaged." "We need to be diplomatic," Olivia reminded everyone. "This is important to them." When Plur joined them, the cultural minister asked what they thought of the performance. "It's certainly unlike anything we have on Earth," Olivia said carefully. "Now," Plur said, "as part of our cultural exchange, we would be interested in experiencing your most significant artistic achievements." The humans looked at each other, unsure what to share. They hadn't brought recordings of symphonies or copies of famous paintings. Lily pulled out her tablet. "I have some videos people sent me before we left Earth. They said these represent human culture." She connected her tablet to the room's display system. The screen showed a compilation of cat videos: cats knocking things off tables, cats getting startled by cucumbers, cats failing to make simple jumps. The humans immediately began to smile and laugh at the familiar clips. The Xanthurians, however, stared in horror. "Why are you showing animals in distress?" Pelor asked, antennae quivering. "And why does this cause you pleasure?" "They're not in distress," Lily explained. "Cats are fine. They're just funny. Funny." Pelor repeated, clearly not understanding. Lily swiped to a new video, this one showing people falling while trying to do simple tasks, missing chairs when sitting down, tripping on flat surfaces, walking into glass doors. The humans laughed even harder. The Xanthurians looked increasingly disturbed. "You find injury amusing?" Pelor asked, backing away slightly. Olivia realized they had a problem. "It's called humor," she tried to explain. "We laugh at small misfortunes because it makes us feel better about our own mistakes," Frank suggested. "You intentionally record your failures?" Pelor asked. "In the Empire, such recordings would bring great shame." "Humor is an important part of human culture," Olivia said. "We laugh at ourselves. It helps us cope with life's challenges." Pelor's antennae were now flat against their head, a sign the humans had learned indicated extreme distress. "I must report this to the Imperial Council," Pelor said, hurrying from the room. Later that day, Scout Commanders Toll delivered an urgent report to the Imperial Council. "The humans find pain amusing," Stoll reported gravely. "They laugh at their own injuries and those of their companion animals. Even more disturbing, their young practice combat by throwing themselves from great heights on wheeled transportation devices." The council members' antennae quivered in unison. "What kind of species could evolve such behaviors?" asked one council member. "A dangerous one," replied another. "One that does not fear pain or injury." The Empire's assessment was quickly updated. Humans were unpredictable, potentially insane, and definitely dangerous. 2 months after first contact, the Xanthurians invited a team of human engineers and scientists to tour their technology centers. The Empire was proud of their technological achievements and wanted to impress the humans. Kevin Foster led the Earth team. He was NASA's top engineer and had helped design Earth's fastest spaceships. With him were 5 other experts in different fields of science and technology. "This is going to be interesting," Kevin told his team as they prepared. "Remember, even if their tech seems outdated to us, we need to be polite. These aliens have been in space longer than humans have had electricity." The Imperial Chief Engineer, a Xanthurian named Devex, met them at the main hangar bay of the Cosmic Dominance Asterisk. Devex wore a uniform covered in what looked like small tools attached by magnets. "Welcome, Earth technicians," Devex said, antennae twitching with excitement. "Today we will show you the most advanced technologies in the known galaxy." The first stop was the Imperial shipyard. Through a massive viewing window, the humans could see dozens of ships being built by Xanthurian workers. "This is our pride," Devex announced, pointing to a sleek purple vessel. "The Star Crusher, our fastest ship. It can cross the entire galaxy in just under 3 standard years." The humans exchanged glances. 3 years? Asked Susan Lee, one of the propulsion specialists. "That's certainly fast. The fastest in the known universe," Devex said proudly. "No other civilization has matched our speed." Kevin nodded politely. He didn't mention that humans had already developed theoretical models for much faster propulsion systems. Earth's current ships were slower than the Star Crusher, but their new designs would be significantly faster. "How does it work?" Kevin asked instead. Devex launched into a detailed explanation of the ship's propulsion system. The humans listened carefully, occasionally asking questions. When Devex finished, there was an awkward silence. "That's neat," Kevin said finally, trying to sound impressed. Devex's antennae drooped slightly. "You do not seem amazed." No, we are," Kevin assured him. "It's just different from our approach." The tour continued to the Empire's computing center. Here, Devex proudly showed them room-sized machines with blinking lights and humming sounds. "This is the Imperial Calculation Network," Devex announced. It can solve complex mathematical problems in just under 2 standard rotations. 2 rotations? Asked Maria Kendrick, the team's computer scientist. Do you mean 2 days? Yes, Devex confirmed. Is that not impressive? Maria pulled a small device from her pocket. This is my smartphone. It's just a personal device, not even our most powerful computer. What can it do? Devex asked, leaning closer to examine the small rectangle. Maria tapped the screen a few times. I just asked it to calculate the orbital mechanics for a ship moving between your star system and the next closest one. Devex's antennae perked up. And how long will it take to solve this problem? It's done, Maria said, showing him the screen. Took about 2 seconds. Devex backed away from the device. That's impossible. Such calculations take days. Not with our computing systems, Maria explained gently. The Xanthurian's color changed to a deeper purple. This must be some form of deception. No computing system could work that quickly. It's not deception, Kevin said. Our technology just developed differently from yours. The tension grew when they reached the Empire's research facilities. The human scientists were surprised to find that the Xanthurians didn't use artificial intelligence or quantum computing. Instead, they relied on crystal resonance calculation systems, technology that humans had considered but found inefficient. Why would you use dangerous, unproven technologies like artificial intelligence? Devex asked when Kevin mentioned Earth's systems. Crystal resonance has worked reliably for 12,000 years. That's exactly why, said Wei Chen, the AI specialist. You've been using the same technology for 12,000 years. You haven't innovated. Devex's antennae stood straight up in shock. Innovation for the sake of innovation leads to chaos. The Empire values stability and reliability. Later, Kevin drafted a report for Earth Command. Their entire empire runs on the equivalent of Windows 95, he wrote. And they think we're the primitive ones. Meanwhile, Devex reported to the Imperial Science Council with equal concern. The humans rely on unpredictable, rapidly changing technologies. They value speed over stability and seem obsessed with constant innovation. The council members conferred quietly. This confirms our earlier reports, said the head counselor. Humans are dangerous and unpredictable. They do not follow the natural order of technological development. What should we do? Asked another counselor. Monitor them closely, replied the head. And perhaps learn from them, cautiously. 3 months after first contact, the Xanthurians decided it was time to demonstrate their military might. Imperial War Commander Vizak personally invited Captain Ryan Clark of Earth's Defense Forces to observe Imperial military drills. Ryan was a decorated officer with 15 years of experience. He had fought in conflicts around Earth and commanded Special Forces teams. He brought a small group of military observers with him, 2 Army officers, a naval commander, and an Air Force pilot. Keep your opinions to yourselves, Ryan warned his team as they prepared to board the shuttle to the Imperial flagship. We're here to observe, not to judge. War Commander Vizak met them wearing what could only be described as battle armor, though it looked more decorative than functional. It was bright purple with gold trim and covered in small gems that caught the light. A large helmet with flowing purple feathers completed the outfit. Welcome, Earth Warriors, Vizak said, striking a pose that made his armor shine. Today you will witness the greatest fighting force in the known galaxy. The humans were led to a massive viewing deck overlooking a space large enough to hold several football fields. Below them, thousands of Xanthurian soldiers stood in perfect formation, each wearing the same ornate armor as Vizak. At a signal from their commander, the soldiers began to move. They marched in complex patterns, their movements perfectly synchronized. Their armor gleamed under the lights, and the sound of their footsteps echoed through the chamber. Impressive, Ryan said politely. This is just the beginning, Vizak said proudly. Watch now as they perform the battle dance of dominance. For the next hour, the humans watched as the Xanthurian soldiers moved through elaborate formations. They would occasionally stop to strike dramatic poses or shout battle cries in unison. The display was certainly visually striking, but Ryan couldn't help wondering what practical military value it had. These soldiers trained for 15 years to perfect these movements, Vizak explained. Every step must be exact. What happens if they need to adapt to unexpected situations? Asked Jack Rivera, one of the army officers. Vizak's antennae twitched in confusion. Adapt. True warriors do not adapt. They follow the battle plans created by their commanders. Every possible scenario has been choreographed in advance. Ryan exchanged glances with his team. On Earth, the ability to adapt to changing battlefield conditions was considered essential for any soldier. After the demonstration, Vizak led them to a display of Imperial weapons. The Xanthurians had impressive energy weapons and powerful explosives, but their tactics for using them seemed oddly rigid and ceremonial. Now, Vizak said, turning to Ryan, we would be interested in observing Earth's military capabilities. Ryan hesitated. Earth's military doctrine emphasized stealth, precision, adaptability, and autonomous systems, none of which made for good visual demonstrations. I don't have 1,000 soldiers to show you marching in formation, Ryan admitted, but I can show you footage of how our forces train. Vizak seemed disappointed but agreed to watch. Ryan connected his tablet to the room's display system and played videos of Earth's Special Forces training exercises, team, and as an individual capable of making their own decisions. The Xanthurians watched in silence, their antennae gradually flattening against their heads, a sign the humans had learned indicated distress or disapproval. This is how you train warriors? Vizak finally asked, sounding shocked. There is no order, no discipline. There's plenty of discipline, Ryan corrected him, but we value flexibility and adaptability. Our soldiers need to think for themselves. Think for themselves, Vizak repeated, as if the concept was completely alien. But how can commanders control the battle if warriors make their own decisions? That's the point, Ryan explained. In real battle conditions, things rarely go as planned. Our soldiers need to adapt when communication with commanders is cut off, or when situations change rapidly. Vizak's antennae were now completely flat, and the lack of ceremonial armor, the absence of formation beauty. Ceremonial armor looks nice, said Jack, but it makes you an easy target. Our combat gear is designed for stealth and protection, not appearance. That evening, Vizak reported to the Imperial War Council. They allow their warriors to make decisions without consulting the command hierarchy, he said with alarm. And they train in actual combat conditions rather than parade formations. The council members listened with growing concern. Their warriors wear dull colors to become invisible during battle, Vizak continued. They value deception over honorable, visible combat. This is troubling, said the High Commander. A species that fights without proper ceremony or hierarchy could be unpredictable in battle. Should we consider them a threat? Asked another council member. The High Commander thought for a moment. Not yet, but we should be cautious. These humans do not fight like any species we have encountered before. Unknown to the Xanthurians, this assessment was exactly what protected Earth. The Empire had no interest in facing an enemy that didn't follow their rules of engagement. 4 months after first contact, a team of human diplomats and researchers made an important discovery. They had been studying the information the Xanthurians had shared about their mighty empire and noticed some strange inconsistencies. Ambassador Peter Collins led a special meeting at the United Nations to discuss their findings. Representatives from all Earth nations gathered to hear the report. Secretary General Linda Powell sat at the head of the table, reading through the report with a frown. When everyone was seated, she looked up. So let me get this straight, she said. Most of these 714 star systems have pre-industrial civilizations who've never even seen a Xanthurian ship. They just periodically receive demands for tribute and messages about their imperial overlords. Peter nodded. That's what our research suggests. The Xanthurians have only visited a small fraction of these worlds. Most of them have species that haven't even developed space travel yet. And how many actual spacecraft do the Xanthurians have? Linda asked. Based on our observations and what we've been able to gather from their data, they have only 23 ships capable of interstellar travel, replied Dr. Helen Ward, the team's chief analyst. Their mighty fleet is mostly for show. The room filled with murmurs of surprise. So their entire empire is basically a bluff? Asked the representative from Japan. More or less, Peter confirmed. They land on planets with primitive technology, show off some advanced gadgets, declare themselves gods or all-powerful beings, and then leave after setting up a system for collecting tribute from the locals. Linda shook her head in disbelief. And all this time they've been acting like they control the galaxy. It's actually quite clever, Helen pointed out. With limited resources, they've established control over dozens of worlds without needing to maintain a large military presence. What should we do with this information? Asked the representative from Nigeria. Linda thought for a moment. For now, we keep it to ourselves. We need to verify these findings and consider our options carefully. But secrets are hard to keep in diplomatic circles. During the next meeting between human and Xanthurian representatives, Ambassador Peter made a casual comment about visiting one of the Empire's tributary worlds. Which one were you thinking of? Asked Xanthurian diplomat Yzarn nervously. Perhaps the Frillians, Peter suggested, naming a species mentioned in the Imperial records. Their culture sounds fascinating. Yzarn's antennae drooped. The Frillians are not ready for visitors. They are a primitive species under our protection. Protection? Peter asked innocently. I thought they were part of your empire. They are, Yzarn said quickly. But they require guidance. We visit them only once every 50 years to collect tribute and remind them of our power. Word of this conversation spread quickly among the other species who had representatives on the Xanthurian flagship. Many of them had always suspected they weren't the only ones paying tribute to the mighty empire. 2 weeks later, a delegation from the Bortons, a species from a nearby star system, requested a private meeting with the humans. The Bortons were short, furry beings with 6 eyes and gentle voices. Is it true? Asked Borton Ambassador Kalik. Has your species refused to pay tribute to the Xanthurian Empire? We have, Peter confirmed. Earth is an independent world. Kalik's 6 eyes blinked rapidly. And they have not destroyed your planet with their mighty weapons. They haven't tried, Peter said. And between you and me, I don't think they could if they wanted to. This conversation was repeated with delegates from several other species. Each time, the humans gently suggested that the Xanthurian Empire might not be as powerful as it claimed. When representatives from 5 different tributary worlds confronted the Xanthurian High Council with demands for independence, the Empire faced a crisis unlike any in its 12,000-year history. We might have accidentally started a revolution, Peter admitted in his report to Earth. The Xanthurians are scrambling to maintain control, but their subject species are beginning to question everything they've been told. On the bright side, he added, we've made about 30 new allies who are very interested in trade agreements with Earth. They see us as the species that stood up to the Empire and lived to tell about it. Meanwhile, in the Imperial Palace on the Xanthurian homeworld, Emperor Zakan was facing uncomfortable questions from his advisors. The tribute payments have stopped from 17 worlds, reported the Imperial Treasurer, and 12 more are threatening to follow. This is all because of the humans, growled the Emperor. They have undermined our authority throughout the galaxy. Perhaps, suggested a younger advisor, it is time to consider a new approach to galactic relations. 6 months after first contact, the political landscape of the galaxy had changed completely. The once mighty Galactic Empire had officially transformed into the Interstellar Cooperative Alliance. Earth played a key role in this transition, serving as a neutral meeting ground for the formerly isolated species. Commander Lisa Franklin, who had led the first human contact with the Xanthurians, now served as Earth's representative on the Alliance Council. She sat at a large round table with representatives from 20 other worlds, including Ztorp, the former High Chancellor of the Xanthurian Empire. The trade agreement between the Bortons and the Freelians has been finalized, Lisa announced to the council. This marks the 15th successful negotiation between former imperial worlds. Storp's antennae wiggled in what the humans had learned was a sign of approval. The Xanthurian looked different now, less decorated, with simpler clothing and fewer ceremonial accessories. The shipping routes have been established, Storp added. Our navigational systems will guide their vessels safely. This was the new role the Xanthurians had found. After their initial embarrassment at being exposed as less powerful than they claimed, they had discovered that their administrative skills were genuinely valuable. Their detailed record-keeping and organizational systems, refined over thousands of years, were perfect for coordinating trade and communication between worlds. Who would have thought that 6 months ago we'd be sitting here like this? Lisa said to Storp as the meeting ended. Your people threatened to make us vassals, and now we're equal partners. Storp's skin flushed a lighter shade of purple, the Xanthurian equivalent of a blush. It has been humbling, the alien admitted, but also freeing. Maintaining the illusion of absolute power was exhausting. Your people are much better at administration than conquest anyway, Lisa said with a smile. Indeed, Storp agreed. And your people excel at innovation and adaptability. Together with the other species, we make a strong alliance. That evening, Lisa attended a celebration marking the first anniversary of human-alien contact. Representatives from all member species gathered in a large hall aboard the former Imperial flagship, now renamed Unity *. The party was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. The Bortons performed their traditional six-legged dances. The Freelians shared their famous glowing fruit drinks. The humans taught everyone games and played music. Even the Xanthurians joined in, showing a sense of humor that had been hidden beneath their formal facade. Standing at the edge of the room, Lisa reflected on how differently first contact might have gone if her crew hadn't laughed that day. A credit for your thoughts, said Ztorp, joining her with a drink in hand. I was just thinking about our first meeting, Lisa replied. When your ambassador announced the mighty Galactic Empire, and my engineer snorted coffee through his nose. Storp made a warbling sound that Lisa now recognized as laughter. A most unusual first diplomatic response. It could have gone badly, Lisa admitted. You might have been offended. We were, Storp said, at first, but it forced us to see ourselves through outside eyes. For 12,000 years, no one had ever laughed at the Empire. Everyone either feared us or pretended to. The Xanthurian gestured at the diverse groups mingling in the hall. As it turns out, humor was your species' greatest diplomatic tool. It showed us immediately that despite our differences, we could find common ground. Lisa raised her glass to laughter then. Indeed, Storp agreed, carefully clinking glasses in the human tradition they had learned. The concept of laughing at oneself, this is the wisdom we lacked for millennia. Your species taught us that true strength comes not from appearing perfect, but from acknowledging imperfection with grace. As the celebration continued around them, Lisa watched representatives from dozens of worlds mingling and even attempting to tell jokes to one another. Some of the jokes didn't translate well across species, but the effort to share humor bridged cultural gaps faster than any formal diplomacy could have. The former empire had become something better, a true alliance of equals. Humanity had found its place in the galaxy not through force or fear, but through the simple, universal power of laughter. The Xanthurians had learned to laugh at themselves, the tributary worlds had found independence, and humans had gained new friends among the stars. As Ztorp might say, a most satisfactory outcome for all involved.